Oh, you lit the candles. Oh, I see.
Frank, Frank. Hello. Yeah, that's why I'm here. Hello.
I'm doing the welcome. Yeah. And then I just tap on, and then can we tap on two? Absolutely. So Susan Foster. Good morning. Glad to see you all. There is a slight change in the program this morning. The prelude will be Vocalise by Bordogni with Matt Bijoun and Matt Johnson. we light this chalice as a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist religion, a flame that glows in the heart of our congregation. It is the bright light of our search for truth. It is the warm glow of our dedication to caring. It is the gift of the past to the present, and will be our gift to the present and the future. Long may it light up and warm this church and shine in the larger community.
Okay, good morning. Well, I guess I can take this off. My name's Beth Posner-Waldron, and I'm your worship associate, one of the worship associates today. So I'm doing the welcoming, and I'll be tacking on a brief announcement. For those of you who are, let's see, nope, I think this is, oh, here we go. Usually I have this printed out ahead of time, but today it's here for me. Okay. So I want to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester. This is a congregation of love, hope, and justice, inspiring people to take on the challenges of a changing world. We want to begin by acknowledging that here in Worcester, Massachusetts, we work, live, learn, and worship on seized ancestral homeland of the Nipmuc people who survive and still today remain active as the Nipmuc Nation. We have a special welcome to those of you who are new or visiting with us for the first time this morning. We're delighted that you're here, and I continue to be meeting new people. It's really been exciting to see so many new folks. We hope that you'll join us in Fellowship Hall following the service, which is down the hall, for refreshments and conversation. I know there's an important meeting afterwards, so make sure you get some snacks and then don't leave. If you have questions or desire more information about this service or any of the ministries and programs of this congregation, do not hesitate to ask. We invite you to fill out one of the cards found in the pews. These cards can be placed in the offering plate or given to one of the ushers or greeters this morning. Now I can turn this over. For those of you that are joining us online this morning, we offer you a very special welcome. For safety purposes, and so we might come to know you better as you're able, please put your name on your video feed. If you don't know how to change your name, ask someone or put your name in there. Please take a moment to sign one of the attendance clipboards that should now be circulating. Cheryl has one next to her that she'll start to circulate, and there might be one on the other side of the aisle. You're not obligated to sign, but we do appreciate the information and we'll use it only for church purposes. During the service, we offer an opportunity to share a brief personal joy or sorrow. If you'd like yours to be read out loud by our minister today, please print it on an index card in the pew and drop it in the collection plate when it comes around. These cards will also be posted outside the minister's office in the hall to be shared with other friends at other services, with our friends at other services. For those of you who are online, you can type a joy or sorrow into the chat and it'll be read during the time that's allowed in the service. In the foyer, which is also what I think of as the entrance, are listening devices and large print service programs and hymnals for those who may find their assistance beneficial. You can see one of our ushers who'll be happy to assist you. I invite you to turn your technology to worship mode. Finally, please note the announcements on the back of your order of service. On the back, you'll note that there is a very special event on Tuesday that I'm going to tell you about. And let's see, did I bring my bag up here with me? My bag? I guess I didn't. That's okay. Imagine I am putting on a pink hat and I've got my sign, because this is what I often took with me to rallies that I went to, or if it was for women's reproductive rights, it says, "My body, my choice, my rights." The reason that I'm showing this is because I'm the coordinator of the Get Out the Vote team. And I became active, So I really became active in, well, I guess whatever it was, the election after you know who was elected. And then I went to the Women's March with Betty and a number of other women. And I said, we've got to do everything that we can to keep this from happening again. And so a group was formed out of Side with Love called the Get Out the Vote team. And in 2022, we had our midterm elections, and there was a challenge put out by the Unitarian Universalist Association's voting rights campaign, UU the Vote. I'm wearing my UU the Vote t-shirt. And they challenged us to be a good trouble congregation. And we did become a good trouble congregation. We met the goals that were set. And this coming Tuesday, February 28th, there is going to be a Zoom meeting with UU the Vote and UUs all across the country, and the others of the total 16 congregations like us that became good trouble congregations, meeting our goal. We want to make sure that people join Zoom or come here to the watch party if the weather is good. The meeting's from 7 to 9 with UU the Vote. If you're coming in person, I'm thinking people can come by 6:30 so they can fill up with snacks. We're going to have ice cream sundaes. But Mother Nature may foil our plans because there's snow in the forecast, and I have to drive from Charlton, and other people say, even today, slipped on their driveway trying to get in their car. I don't want that to happen. We may pull the plug on the watch party, and if that happens, everyone needs to register to attend the Zoom meeting from their own home, okay? So the message has been going out with the registration meeting, and I'll try to keep this short. There basically will be 2 emails you'll get when you register one saying, thank you for registering, and then you'll get another email saying, here is the Zoom link. And you can talk to me during fellowship hall, because I don't want to talk anymore up here.
Good morning. I'm kind of sneaking in here, but I was told to do it, so I'm doing it. I'm Susan Crosley, and what I want to talk about is next week, Dr. Teresa McGinn, Joan's sister, who has been working with women's reproductive rights for like over 40 years all over the world. You know, she has a degree from Columbia. She worked in the Peace Corps. She's been everywhere. But for the last 20 years, she's worked in refugee camps, trying to provide, educate, whatever, on reproductive rights. So next Sunday, we'll have a workshop or seminar interactive. And the question is, why did she die? And, you know, we're gonna listen, learn, and discuss. So it should be really interesting. Please come. And that's it. Good morning. Get up quickly.
As we gather in the church to think about the meanings of life, to console each other in sorrow, to encourage each other in rejoicing, in our togetherness there is a power that blesses us all. Our opening hymn is the hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Good morning. I guess I'm doing this. This is the time that we ask all of our young ones with baskets to stand up and gather our Change for Change collection. If you have any spare change or coin that you would like to donate to the Minister's Emergency Fund, please raise your hand and we will gather it from you. Thank you.
The first reading this morning is from the book of Genesis, chapter 11. This is the account of Terah's family line. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran Haran became the father of Lot. While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans in the land of his birth. Abram and Nahor were married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, the father of both Milcah and Iscah. Now Sarai was childless because she was not able to conceive. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died in Haran. And the Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing to all. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you will I curse. And all of the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you." So Abram went as the Lord told him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he set out from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated, and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land as far as the site of the great tree of Moreh at Shechem. At the time, the Canaanites were in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your offspring I will give this land." And so he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. From there he went on toward the hills east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Thus ends the first reading. At this time, the morning offering will be received.
By John Saxon, As a Fire Exists by Burning. This religious community exists by its mission as a fire exists by burning. But a fire cannot burn without fuel. And it is the time, the energy, the imagination, the vision, the creativity, the compassion, the love, and the financial support of the members and friends of this community that fuels our mission to nurture and sustain a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse liberal religious community that transforms lives and serves the world. Your support, the free and generous support of each and every member and friend of this community, is what fuels this community and its mission. And without your support, the flame of justice, community, and love cannot burn brightly to warm ourselves and be a beacon in a world threatened by division and fear. If you would like to participate in this morning's offering digitally, you are invited to text 508-232-5335 or visit www.uucworcester.org/donate. Our morning offering will now be received.
I haven't done this for a while, and one forgets how many moving parts there are in a morning service. One needs to keep checking to be sure we've got everything in the right place. The second reading this morning is the words from hymn number 116 in the old blue hymnal. Piece by Nancy Bird Turner. Men go out from the places where they dwelled, they know not why or whither, overborne at midnight by some awful word, forsworn, between one dark and day, called and compelled. So have they gone for ages in the gleam of many daybreaks, turning troubled eyes for one last look at home beneath old skies, their birthright bartered for a nameless dream. As Abraham saw dawn, remote and chill, etching old Ur along the lonely north, and bowed himself to his loved earth, and rent his garments, cried he could not go, and went. Thus ends the second reading. This brings us to caring and sharing, or joys and sorrows. In every pew there are joys and sorrows, triumphs and tragedies, some of them aching for expression. We invite you now to express in a few words a joy or sorrow that is welling up in your mind and heart and craving to be shared, or to light a candle silently if such silent expression feels more comfortable for you, or to make an appointment with our minister, Aaron, if there is some matter that you need to explore in greater privacy. Those who wish to speak, please come forward on either side and come to the microphone at the appropriate time so that everyone can hear what you have to say.
Hello, this message is actually from Michelle Hernandez. Michelle fell on Friday morning and took a fall on the ice and suffered a severe fracture of her upper left arm. She had emergency surgery on Friday night and was released from the hospital yesterday. She's in a full arm cast for the next 10 days. And then staples will be removed and the next plans will be made. She's asking for your healing thoughts and prayers, please, and thank you.
I'm short, don't mind me. My name is Liz. I have some prayer intentions for my mother who has been hospitalized, for all the Black lives lost due to hatred and racism, and also, well, for my family and my lost son. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bruce Lachey. Sorrow, my mother's first cousin, Jane Noble, she suffered a severe stroke on Tuesday, and she's in hospice and isn't expected to recover. And this comes just less than a month after my mom's own passing, and for that whole side of the family, it's quite a shock having both of those happen so fast, one after the other. So your thoughts and prayers for them, please. Thank you.
Hello, it's me again. So this time a little more toned down. I haven't shared this publicly. A few people, handful of people I've shared this with, but I wanted to just let you know, I've had to do a deep dive into eating disorders and all different types of eating disorders and what can happen when somebody is trying to eat healthy. And then it's a slippery slope when things conspire for a person to feel really badly about themselves and then start really depriving themselves of food. And this is called orthorexia. And this is what has happened to somebody very close to me, who a month ago was hospitalized for 3 nights because of the sodium level getting so low and the extreme weight loss. And fortunately, it's a month later. I never thought I could say this, but this person is doing so much better, eating, gaining weight. I think just really got scared at how that could have happened. And Wednesday night was admitted to a treatment facility. So it's just, it's just so much sadness around how this happened, and so much relief that, she's finally getting treatment.
Thank you. We are grateful for this place and this religious community wherein we may share the emotion-laden matters that are in our hearts and minds. Here we may speak of personal matters that our more casual associates may not really care to receive. Here we may give voice to thoughts and feelings that it may not be safe to utter in the wider world. Here others will rejoice with us while the rest of the world may be standing in judgment on our rejoicing. Here others will respond sympathetically to our sorrows and grief, while the rest of the world may be too busy with its own struggles and preoccupations. We are an imperfect community at best, but nevertheless, we are grateful for this special place and the people in it who receive our sharing with sympathetic and forgiving hearts and care enough for us to take pleasure in our happiness. We are grateful to the men and women and children who freely or sometimes hesitantly or even bravely make us the gift of their sharing. We are grateful for this religious community, a setting wherein from time to time, each of us may find refuge and renewal. Amen. Nancy Bird Turner, in hymn number 216 of Hymns for the Celebration of Life, gives an imaginative reconstruction of some of the feelings that Father Abraham might have experienced upon hearing the biblical summons to go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to a land that I will show you. It is not easy for us to go out from the places where we dwelled, not fully comprehending why or whither, not only called, but also perhaps compelled by forces beyond our control. And so Abraham, turning troubled eyes for one last look at home in the chilly light of dawn, feeling the loneliness of his early morning departure and the long journey ahead, gazes lovingly on the familiar scene, rends his garments in token of his grief, cries out, "I cannot go," and goes at last. And Abraham is every one of us who must embark on a long journey, leaving behind the familiar places where we have lived, setting out in mingled fear and hope and grief and anticipation into the unknown, seeking newness of life. And we don't know whether Abraham believed that he had heard the actual voice of God, for this call can come in many forms, diverse forms. It may come to us as the discovery of some new idea, as an invitation or a suggestion from some other person or group. It may be born out of an awareness of a talent or an ability or a skill or a kind of experience that we have developed. It may be a falling in love or a falling out of love. It may be the realization, the dawning of some possibility that we had not seen or understood. It may be a burgeoning discontent with things as they are and a yearning to be free. It may come, as to Abraham, in a dream of a new life, larger and more meaningful, more rewarding and more satisfying, more in accordance with our dignity as a human being, or as many are wont to say, as a child of God. It is unlikely that Abraham woke up one morning and abruptly decided to chuck it all and to start a new life. The call is rarely a sudden thing. It is an idea that we can't get out of our heads month after month or year after year. It is an idea that becomes powerfully attractive, or at least seems irresistibly right. It is an ongoing temptation to believe that life can be, should be, must be different and better than it has been, that good things can be accomplished, perhaps great things, and that blessings will flow for us and for others in this new life. Yet there is something vague about this call to go out to a land that I will show you. We're not altogether sure where this call is going to lead or what it's going to mean. And this vagueness speaks to us of risk and arouses doubt. Suppose that we have misunderstood or miscalculated. Could this call be a delusion nourished by some unhealthy thing in our lives? Suppose we get lost on the way to this new and unknown land. Can we bear to give up what we are going to give up, the familiar places where we have dwelled and what is good in them? Suppose that our new life brings things that are getting worse rather than better. And what about the other people who may be affected by our decision to effect this call? Is it selfish for us to go, perhaps to leave behind loving friends and family? Is it selfish to drag others along with us? Is it fair to Sarai, to Lot, and to the others, young and old? Or suppose, like the Hebrews in the wilderness, we end up wondering if God is playing some kind of dirty trick on us, Did God bring us out here to starve in this howling wilderness? The biblical narrative tells us that they did not starve, and we may assume perhaps that the hardships of life in the wilderness were preferable to their former slavery in Egypt. But the story tells us that the majority of them never made it to the promised land. Of those who followed Moses out of Egypt, only Joshua and Caleb survived to lead the descendants of the Egyptian slaves into the promised land. So what challenges and dangers may we meet on the journey? Life has no guarantees, even in the promised land. Our choice is not between risk and no risk. The choice is, which set of risks do we wish to take? The risks of stagnation and staying put, or the risks of hope, change, and growth? This is the kind of choice and the challenge that life presents to us from time to time, to the nations of the planet Earth, to its social institutions, and to us as individual human beings. And most of us, being human, meet a fresh challenge with some degree of reluctance, and rightly so. It is not our assignment in life to spend our energies indiscriminately tackling every difficulty that crosses our paths. Many of life's difficulties and challenges can be and should be avoided, and our energies saved for other things. It is intelligent to avoid unnecessary risks and to have a strong sense of priorities so that we take on only those battles that seem most important to us. Take Moses, for example. He had found a good life in the land of Midian, and he was, the Bible tells us, content. He was a herder of sheep, keeping the flocks of Jethro, his father-in-law, happily married to Zipporah, father of a son, Gershom. His was a prosperous, secure, and happy existence. Moses was seeking no new challenges and certainly saw himself as no hero. When he heard the divine call, Moses, go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go, what was his reaction? No, Lord. Send some other man. In a show of extreme reluctance, he put forth every excuse that he could think of. Who am I to do this great thing? Me, a prophet? No one will believe me. I have no gift for eloquence. This reluctance is natural and healthy, but we need to know when to put it aside, when to take up the challenge, to answer positively. And finally, Moses agreed, yes, Lord, send me. It is time to put away our reluctance when we realize that we are in bondage to the status quo and to the familiar. Our bondage to the familiar may be relatively comfortable. We are not told that there was anything wrong with Abraham's life in Ur. Perhaps it was quite satisfying, as the words of the hymn assume, and perhaps he was genuinely grieved about leaving it behind. If so, it may be for us as for Abraham in Ur and Moses in Midian, with our important life needs being met in satisfying ways. Perhaps we've made it in life and have all the trappings of worldly success and happiness. Yet somehow there may be a nagging discontent in the back of our minds, like a worm gnawing away at the fruit of our satisfaction and complacency, asking us, isn't there something more? Or our bondage to the familiar may be quite miserable for us, yet we don't know how to get out of it, and we're afraid to try. Sometimes we even fall in love with our bondage. It may be uncomfortable, but it's all we've got. We've been with it so long that we think of it as a friend. Pleasant or unpleasant, we may cling to our bondage because it is familiar, and we know how to live with it, and we know how to cope with it. Perhaps we are shutting our eyes to the fact that it is lulling us into complacency or blocking our growth, or it may simply be a matter of preferring the known evil to the unknown. Given this natural human reluctance, who will heed the call of change? Who will embark on a journey without knowing where it's going, how to get there, or how they'll know when they are in the right place for sure? Someone with compelling reasons may heed the call to change, someone burdened with present suffering, someone weighed down with dissatisfaction, caught up in loneliness or boredom, someone who can't go on living in the same old way, someone who says of life, this is wrong, there must be a better way, or someone who has arrived at an appropriate place in the life cycle to heed the call. Perhaps it is time to leave home and set out on one's own, to form new relationships, to go far away to school, or in order to take a new job, or to serve in the armed forces, or to take up public service, or to enter into the Peace Corps. People who are grasping at the promise of fresh opportunity may heed the call. The ebb and flow of human migrations throughout the centuries of human history gives testimony to the power of this promise. Father Abraham is but one of many millions who pursue the promise. It is the promise that persuaded our ancestors to cross the Bering Strait from Asia, or the stormy seas from the old world of Europe. It is the same promise that may lead us to venture out into the stormy seas of emotional and spiritual growth today. Those who heed the call are those who are able to see the promise through the uncertainty, who have the courage to face and accept the risks in that uncertainty, those who have faith that the challenges of the unknown and the uncertain can be endured and even mastered. The promise is this, that Abraham can find a new home and a better future for his children, that Moses can become a prophet and lead his people out of slavery, and that you and I can reach out and find somewhere in the unknown whatever is most needed in our lives. Nevertheless, those who choose to follow in the footsteps of Father Abraham will find that the path is not always easy and that their progress on the way is often uneven. There may be doubts and second thoughts. We may find, as Moses did, that there is murmuring in the wilderness. We read in Exodus 16 that in their hunger and despair, the whole congregation of the people of Israel murmured against Moses, saying, "Would that we had died in the land of Egypt when we sat by the flesh pots and ate bread to the full." There were water shortages, and they grumbled at Moses, "What are we supposed to drink?" And when the Lord sent down manna from heaven to save them from starvation, were they grateful? Hardly. Rather, they wept, saying, "Oh, that we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we had to eat in Egypt for free, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our strength is dried up and there is nothing but this manna to look at." And they grumbled also because there were no grain or figs or grapes or pomegranates in the wilderness. And so any of us who has accepted the call to set out upon the uncertain pathways toward a new life may at times long for the lost comforts of our past situation, for the easy life of our former complacency, for the reassurance of once familiar surroundings, even for the psychic dividends of our past oppression. Nevertheless, I believe it is important to listen for the voice that may call and summon us to strike out from the familiar and the comfortable into the unknown, to give up our sometime bondage to the familiar and the known, to put aside our fear of change and of the element of the unknown that lurks in it, to follow the vision of a better life that has often led people just like us to accept the risk of setting out in new directions toward a destination we but dimly comprehend, to trust the promise that as we extricate ourselves from our bondage to the familiar, the way through the unknown will become clearer, and somewhere out in the vagueness of the unknown, we will find a place that is good for us. And even if, like the Hebrews of the Exodus, we never arrive in the promised land, it may nevertheless be important for us to be on the way, as it was important for them to be on the way. Amen. So be it. Our closing hymn is the hymn number 344, A Promise Through the Ages Rings. As we go from this place, now that our service is concluded, may we recall and keep in mind that life's victory lies in living well today, in being true to ourselves and our values, in feeling the power of love in our hearts, and in rejoicing every day in the goodness of life.
As usual, our order of service is merely a suggestion. The choir takes you back to 1971 with an apology to the Electric Light Band. The sign says UUCW, it's out on Shore Drive. I thought about it a little bit and decided to go inside. The preacher was preaching that love is love and the 7 principles. I decided that tears was making plans for the children. Sign, sign, let's vote about the sign. The board is up the road to vote about the sign. Vote yes, vote no, let's vote about the sign. And the new sign can say many things in colors and in lights. Like Black Lives Matter, climate change is real, and the innocence of all life. I'll go coffee and come back here. It's part of our democracy. All UUC members can vote in here. It's our way of life. Sign, sign, let's vote about the sign. What is on the research? Let's vote about the sign. Vote yes or vote no. Let's vote about the sign. Sign, sign, let's vote about the sign. The board has done the research. Let's vote about the sign. Vote yes or vote no. Let's vote about the sign.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to make one quick announcement. I'm Ken Basie, and it's almost March, thank goodness. And so it's time for family game night, Friday the 3rd, this coming Friday. I have to say the weather forecast looks just a little bit dodgy, so please, by all means, find the link in your emails, register, leave your email if you can. In the registration form, but even if you don't, we'll figure out how to get in touch with you and let you know what's going on. But fingers crossed, we'll be there for Friday night, and if not, then it'll be the following Friday. Okay, thanks very much.
Hi, everyone. Quick Garden On announcement. Any of you looking forward to our spring plant sale? We have a probably tentative, but close to nailed down plan. April 30th, you can buy some plants here. We're going to be a little bit more sophisticated about it this year, and you'll have even more information about the plants before you buy them. Betty Genuine has generously agreed to create some information about all of the plants that we're going to be selling, so you'll know what it's going to look like with beautiful pictures by Betty and information about the plant and how tall and all of it. So plan on April 30th, right after church, and hopefully, and if there's no snow. And that's it. Thanks.
I'll use this one again. I decided to start a knitting group here at the church. We're going to start Wednesday night, the 1st, that's this Wednesday, at 7 o'clock till 8:30. It is intergenerational because I know that there's some young people who knit. If you've never knitted before, I've knitted for 20 years. I can teach you. And if you're a crocheter and would like to come, that's fine, but I don't do that. Okay, thanks.